Have you ever pretended to be someone's husband and ended up fighting for your life? I was buying coffee at a gas station when a woman with a black eye grabbed my arm and whispered, "Please, my ex-husband is in the parking lot. Can you pretend you're with me, just until he leaves?" Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her wallet. I looked through the window and saw a man leaning against a silver sedan, arms crossed, staring directly at us through the glass. Something about his stillness, the way he watched without blinking, made my stomach turn. "Please," she said again, her voice breaking. "He's been following me for 3 days. If he thinks I'm alone, he'll—" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I could see the terror in her eyes, the way she positioned herself so I was between her and the window. "Okay," I said, not knowing I'd just signed up for the worst 6 months of my life. "I'm Nathan. What's your name?" "Nicole," she whispered. "Nicole Brennan. And that's my ex-husband, Travis. He's going to kill me if you leave me alone with him." I paid for both our coffees and put my arm around her shoulders, trying to look natural. She tensed at first, then leaned into me like she'd been doing it for years. We walked out together, and Travis pushed off from his car. He was maybe 6 feet tall, muscular in that obsessive gym rat way, with a buzz cut and a neck tattoo that disappeared under his collar. His eyes locked onto my arm around Nicole's shoulders, and his jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscles twitch. "Nicole," he said, his voice flat and cold. "Who's this?" "This is my boyfriend, Nathan," Nicole said, and I felt her hand grip my shirt behind my back, holding on like I was the only thing keeping her from drowning. "We're just grabbing coffee before work." Travis's eyes moved from her face to mine, studying me with the kind of intensity that made my skin crawl. "Boyfriend. That's interesting. You didn't mention a boyfriend when we talked last week." "We weren't talking last week, Travis. You were threatening me outside my office." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That's not how I remember it. I remember you saying you missed me, that you made a mistake filing the restraining order." Nicole's grip on my shirt tightened. "I never said that. You need to leave me alone." Travis took a step closer, and I instinctively moved Nicole behind me. "Stay back," I said, keeping my voice level even though my heart was hammering. "She asked you to leave her alone. Time to go." Travis laughed, a short, bitter sound. "And who are you? Some random guy playing hero? You have no idea what you're getting into. I know enough. Leave. Now." For a moment, we just stood there, 3 people in a gas station parking lot at 7 in the morning, and I could feel the violence radiating off Travis like heat. Then he took a step back, hands raised in mock surrender. Sure, I'll go. But Nicole?" He looked past me at her. "We're not done. We'll never be done. You know that, right? Till death do us part, remember? Those vows meant something." He got in his car and drove away slowly, deliberately, making sure we watched him leave. Nicole didn't move until his car disappeared around the corner, and then she collapsed against mine, sobbing. "Thank you," she kept saying. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." I stood there awkwardly, patting her back, wondering what the hell I'd just gotten myself into. "Are you okay? Do you need me to call the police?" She pulled away, wiping her eyes. "The police won't do anything. I have a restraining order, but he violates it constantly. They tell me to document everything and call them if he gets violent, but by the time they arrive, he's always gone." Her voice was bitter, resigned. "He's a correctional officer at the county jail. Half the cops in this town are his friends. They think I'm exaggerating, that we're just a couple having problems." "He gave you that black eye," I said, gesturing to her face. "That's not a couple having problems. That's assault." "I know, but I can't prove he did it. I woke up in the emergency room 3 weeks ago with a concussion and no memory of how I got there. Travis has an alibi. He was at work. 12 of his coworkers swear to it." She looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes that was worse than fear. It was hopelessness. "He's going to kill me eventually. I know it. Everyone who matters knows it. But nobody can stop him until he actually does it." I should have walked away then. Should have given her the number for a domestic violence hotline, wished her luck, and gone on with my life. But something about the defeat in her voice, the certainty that she was going to die and nobody cared enough to prevent it, made me angry. "What if we made him think you really do have a boyfriend?" I heard myself say. "Someone who's around enough that he can't get to you alone?" Nicole stared at me like I'd suggested something insane. "You don't even know me. Why would you do that?" "Because it's wrong," I said simply. "Because you're terrified and alone, and he's counting on that. Because maybe if he thinks you're not alone, he'll back off." She laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. "You have no idea what he's capable of. If he thinks you're really my boyfriend, he'll come after you too. He's destroyed every friendship I've had, every relationship. He got my brother fired from his job. He slashed my sister's tires so many times she had to move to another state. He won't just let this go. Then we make it convincing enough that he has no choice. We document everything, build a case that even his cop friends can't ignore." I was talking without thinking, making promises I had no idea how to keep. "My name's Nathan Cross. I'm an IT consultant. I work from home most days. If you need someone to show up places with you, to make Travis think twice, I can do that." Nicole studied my face for a long moment, looking for something. Whatever she saw must have been enough, because she nodded slowly. "Okay, but Nathan, When this goes wrong, and it will go wrong, you need to run. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to save me. Just run. I agreed, thinking she was being dramatic. I had no idea how right she was. We exchanged numbers, and I followed her to her apartment to make sure Travis wasn't waiting there. The building was in a rough part of town, the kind of place where people minded their own business even when they heard screaming through the walls. Nicole's apartment was on the 3rd floor, and she checked every corner before letting me inside. The place was sparse, almost empty. A futon, a small TV, a card table with 2 folding chairs. I've moved 4 times in the past year, she explained, seeing me look around. I don't bother unpacking anymore. He always finds me within a few weeks. On her refrigerator, held up with magnets, were dozens of photos. Travis standing outside her workplace. Travis in the parking lot of her gym. Travis sitting in his car across from her apartment building. Each photo was time-stamped and dated. This is just from the past 2 months, Nicole said. I have hundreds more. The police say it's not enough to prove he's stalking me. They say he could just be in those places by coincidence. I looked at the photos more closely. In every single one, Travis was staring directly at the camera, like he knew Nicole was taking pictures and wanted her to know he didn't care. This is insane, I said. How is this not enough? Because the system is broken, Nicole said flatly. Because he knows exactly how to push right up to the line without crossing it. Because his friends in law enforcement make my complaints disappear. She sat down heavily on the futon. Do you know what it's like to know someone is going to kill you and nobody believes you? I didn't have an answer for that. Instead, I asked, when did this start? You said ex-husband. When did you get divorced? We're not divorced yet. The paperwork is still going through. We've been separated for 18 months, but he won't sign the papers. He keeps filing continuances, dragging it out. She pulled her knees to her chest, making herself small. The violence started about a year into our marriage. Little things at first, pushing me into walls, grabbing my arm hard enough to leave bruises. Then it escalated. He put me in the hospital twice. The second time, I finally got the courage to leave. I filed for divorce and a restraining order the same day. And he's been stalking you ever since? Worse than stalking. He's been systematically destroying my life. I lost my job because he kept showing up at my workplace, causing scenes. My landlord evicted me because Travis would bang on my door at 3 in the morning. My parents won't talk to me anymore because he convinced them I'm on drugs, that everything is my fault. Her voice cracked. I have nobody left. No friends, no family, no job. Just an apartment I can barely afford, and the certainty that one day soon, he's going to get past the restraining order and finish what he started. I sat down next to her, careful to leave space between us. Then we changed the narrative. Starting now, you're not alone. We make him believe I'm real, that I'm serious, that there are consequences if he touches you. Nicole looked at me with a mixture of hope and despair. And when he comes after you? Because he will. He can't stand the idea of me with someone else. That's the whole reason he won't let me go. Not because he loves me, but because I'm his property in his mind. You being with me, real or fake, is the ultimate challenge to him. Then let him come, I said with more confidence than I felt. I'm not scared of bullies. She almost smiled. You should be. Travis isn't just a bully, he's a predator. And predators don't stop until they've won or they're dead. We spent the next hour going over everything. Nicole showed me police reports that went nowhere, hospital records from her injuries, text messages from Travis that walked the line between threatening and plausibly deniable. I can't wait to see you again, one read. I think about you all the time. Another said, you look beautiful when you're sleeping. I watched you for an hour last night through your window. Each message made my skin crawl. But Nicole was right. None of it was explicitly threatening enough to get Travis arrested. He was too smart for that. What about a lawyer? I asked. Have you tried getting a better restraining order? Something with real teeth? I had a lawyer. Travis got him disbarred. Planted drugs in his car during a traffic stop. The lawyer knew it was Travis, but he couldn't prove it. He dropped my case and left the state. Nicole showed me the news article on her phone. Attorney disbarred after drug possession charge. That's when I knew I was on my own. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, and Travis's voice filled my ear. Nathan Cross, age 31, lives at 2156 Oakmont Drive, works as an IT consultant for Vertex Solutions. Parents retired in Florida. Sister named Jenna, married with 2 kids in Portland. Want me to keep going? My blood went cold. How did you get this number? I'm a corrections officer, Nathan. I have access to databases you don't even know exist. I know everything about you. Your credit score, your medical history, that DUI you got when you were 23, everything. He paused. So here's my advice. Walk away from Nicole. Forget you ever met her. Because if you don't, I'm going to make you regret every single decision that led you to that gas station this morning. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Nicole is my wife. My responsibility. You're interfering in a domestic situation you don't understand. She has a restraining order against you. The court says you need to stay away from her. Travis laughed. The court says a lot of things. The court also said we were married for life. Funny how some court orders matter and others don't. But here's what does matter, Nathan. I know where you live. I know where you work. I know where your sister lives. Walk away, or I start paying visits to all of them. He hung up before I could respond. I looked at Nicole, who'd gone pale. He already knows everything about you, she whispered. That's what he does. Within hours of meeting someone new in my life, he has their entire history. Then he uses it against them. How is that legal? It's not. But proving he's abusing his access to law enforcement databases is impossible. His supervisors cover for him. They all think I'm the crazy ex-wife making up stories. Nicole stood up and started pacing. You should go, Nathan. I'm serious. He's already threatened your family. Next, he'll follow through. That's his pattern. Threaten, then escalate. I can't have your sister's kids in danger because of me. I should have listened. Should have recognized that I was in over my head. But something about Travis's smug certainty that I'd back down made me stubborn. No, I said. We're doing this. But we're doing it smart. Starting now, I document everything. Every call, every threat, every contact. We build a case so airtight that even his corrupt friends can't ignore it. Nicole looked like she wanted to argue, but then her shoulders slumped in resignation. Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. That was 3 days ago. In those 3 days, my life had become a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Travis had started by vandalizing my car, keyed both sides with the word dead scratched deep into the paint. Then he'd called my boss at Vertex Solutions, claiming to be an FBI agent investigating me for cybercrimes. My boss didn't believe it, but he was required to report it to corporate security. I spent 4 hours being interviewed by company investigators before they cleared me. Someone's got it out for you, my boss said afterward. Be careful. The next day, my apartment building manager knocked on my door at 6 in the morning. We've had multiple complaints about noise from your unit, she said, showing me her phone. 3 different tenants had filed reports claiming I was blasting music at 2 in the morning, having loud parties, screaming at people. I've been asleep at 2 in the morning, I protested. I haven't had any parties. I don't even own a stereo loud enough to disturb neighbors. She looked sympathetic, but firm. I believe you, but I have to investigate every complaint. If they keep coming, I'll have to start eviction proceedings. I knew without asking that Travis was behind it. He was systematically attacking every aspect of my life, and it had only been 3 days. My phone rang constantly with unknown numbers. Sometimes it was Travis, sometimes it was dead air, sometimes it was recorded messages about outstanding warrants for my arrest. Nicole had been right. Getting involved with her meant making an enemy of someone with resources and connections I couldn't match. But I couldn't back out now, not after seeing what he was doing to her. I went to Nicole's apartment that evening to check on her. She answered the door with her phone pressed to her ear, and I could hear someone screaming on the other end. You need to stop calling my mother, Nicole was saying, her voice exhausted. She doesn't want to talk to you. Travis's laugh came through the phone speaker. Your mother loves talking to me. We had a great conversation about how worried she is about your mental health. She thinks you need to be committed, Nicole. I told her I'd help arrange it. My mother would never say that. Wouldn't she? Call her and ask. Oh, wait, she blocked your number. Guess you'll just have to take my word for it. The call ended, and Nicole slumped against the doorframe. He called my mom pretending to be a crisis counselor. Told her I'd been having suicidal thoughts, that I was a danger to myself. Now my mom won't answer my calls because she thinks I'm mentally unstable. She looked at me with hollow eyes. This is what he does. He poisons everyone against me until I have nobody left. You're next, Nathan. He's already started. I told her about my boss, my apartment manager, the constant calls. We need to go to the police with all of this. There has to be someone who'll listen. There isn't, Nicole said flatly. But we can try. The police station was busy that evening. We waited an hour before a detective named Alvarez called us back to his desk. I laid out everything that had happened in the past 3 days while Nicole pulled up evidence on her phone. Detective Alvarez listened patiently, taking notes, his expression neutral. When we finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. So let me make sure I understand. You've been pretending to be Ms. Brennan's boyfriend for 3 days, and now her ex-husband is harassing you? He's not just harassing me. He's threatening my family. He's trying to get me fired. He's making false reports to my apartment building. Have you actually seen Travis Brennan do any of these things? Can you prove it was him? I hesitated. Well, no, but who else would it be? He called me directly and threatened me. Do you have a recording of that call? No. Detective Alvarez looked at Nicole. Ms. Brennan, I've read your file. You've made multiple complaints about your ex-husband, all of which have been investigated and found to have insufficient evidence. Now you've recruited someone to pose as your boyfriend, and suddenly that person is also experiencing problems. Do you see how this looks? Nicole's face flushed. Are you suggesting I'm making this up? That I'm causing problems for Nathan to make Travis look bad? I'm suggesting that there's a pattern here of accusations without proof. Travis Brennan has cooperated with every investigation. He has alibis for most of the incidents you've reported. His co-workers are his alibis, Nicole said, her voice shaking with anger. They cover for him because they're all friends. That's not real alibi, that's conspiracy. That's a serious accusation. Detective Alvarez's tone had gone cold. You're claiming multiple corrections officers are lying to protect someone? Yes, Nicole said simply. That's exactly what I'm claiming. The detective closed his notebook. I'll make a report of today's conversation, but unless you have actual evidence, there's nothing more I can do. Mr. Cross, my advice to you is to stop pretending to be Miss Brennan's boyfriend. You're making yourself a target in a domestic situation that doesn't concern you. What domestic situation? I asked. She has a restraining order. They're separated. She's not his wife anymore in any meaningful sense. The divorce isn't final. Legally, they're still married. And in my experience, inserting yourself into someone else's marriage never ends well. We left the station feeling worse than when we'd arrived. I told you, Nicole said as we reached my car. The system doesn't work. Not for people like me. That night, someone threw a brick through my living room window. Attached to it was a note. Last warning. Stay away from what's mine. I called 911, and 2 officers showed up 40 minutes later. They took photos, filed a report, and told me it was probably random vandalism. This neighborhood's been having problems with teenagers, one officer said. This wasn't teenagers, I said, showing them the note. This was targeted. I'm being stalked by my girlfriend's ex-husband. The officers exchanged a look. You're dating Nicole Brennan? One of them asked. Yeah. Why? No reason. Just be careful with that situation. There's a lot of history there. They left without taking the note as evidence. I realized later that one of them probably knew Travis, might have even told him they'd been to my apartment. I was being watched, documented, reported on, and there was nothing I could do about it. The next morning, my sister Jenna called me in tears. Nathan, what's going on? Someone called Child Protective Services and reported me for child abuse. They said my kids are being neglected, that our house is unsafe. My stomach dropped. When did this happen? Yesterday. A CPS worker showed up at my house and insisted on interviewing my children without me present. They were terrified. The worker looked around, saw everything was fine, and left. But she said the complaint was detailed and specific. Someone described the inside of my house, Nathan. Someone who's been here. It's Travis, I said. Nicole's ex-husband. He's retaliating because I'm helping her. There was a long silence. You need to stop helping her, Jenna said finally. I'm sorry about her situation, but I have kids to protect. If CPS opens an investigation, it could affect my husband's security clearance. He could lose his job. Jenna, I can't just abandon her. Travis will kill her if I do. That's not your responsibility, Nathan. Your nieces are. Your family is. Please stop whatever you're doing. She hung up before I could argue. I sat there staring at my phone, realizing Travis had found my exact weak spot. I could handle him coming after me, but going after my sister's kids crossed a line I hadn't known existed. I called Nicole and told her what happened. I'm so sorry, she said immediately. This is exactly what I was afraid of. He's weaponizing your family against you. How do I stop him? You can't. That's what I've been trying to tell you. The only way to stop Travis is to give him what he wants, and he wants me isolated and terrified. Every person who tries to help me becomes his next target. I heard something in her voice I hadn't noticed before. Guilt. She'd been carrying this alone for so long that she'd convinced herself she deserved it, that protecting others meant accepting her own destruction. No, I said firmly. We don't give him what he wants. We take this to someone who can actually do something about it. Like who? We've tried the police, we've tried the courts. Who else is there? The FBI, I said. If Travis is abusing law enforcement databases to stalk you and harass people, that's a federal crime. The FBI investigates police corruption. Nicole laughed bitterly. You think the FBI cares about one woman being stalked by her ex-husband? They care about cops breaking the law. I was already Googling the nearest FBI field office. It's worth a shot. The FBI field office was in the federal building downtown, and we had to go through security just to get to the reception desk. I explained our situation to the receptionist, who looked skeptical, but eventually directed us to fill out a complaint form. Someone will review it and contact you if they decide to open an investigation, she said. How long does that take? Could be weeks, could be months, could be never if they don't see merit in the complaint. We filled out the forms anyway, documenting everything we could remember. The database abuse, the harassment, the false reports, Travis's use of his position to stalk and intimidate. It felt futile, like screaming into a void, but it was the only option we had left. On the way out, we ran into Travis in the parking garage. He was leaning against Nicole's car, arms crossed, that same cold smile on his face. Filed a report with the feds, did you? That's cute. They'll sit on it for months, and even if they do investigate, I'll have plenty of warning. I have friends everywhere, Nicole. You can't escape me. Nicole grabbed my hand, squeezing hard enough to hurt. We're leaving, Travis. Move away from my car. Your car? This car is registered in both our names, remember? Marital property, which means technically I have every right to be here. He pushed off from the vehicle and walked toward us slowly, deliberately. But I'll move. I'm always reasonable, aren't I? It's you who's being unreasonable, dragging this poor guy into our private business. There's nothing private about stalking, I said. You're harassing her, harassing me, and threatening both our families. That's not a private matter. That's criminal. Travis stopped about 3 feet away from us. Up close, I could see the calculation in his eyes, the way he was measuring me, deciding how far he could push before I broke. You know what I think, Nathan? I think you're going to realize very soon that Nicole isn't worth all this trouble. She's unstable, manipulative. She's probably already telling you I'm the bad guy, but have you considered that maybe she's lying? That maybe everything she's told you is designed to make you feel sorry for her? I've seen the police reports, the hospital records, the restraining order. Those aren't lies. Hospital records from injuries she could have sustained anywhere. Police reports that never resulted in charges because there was no evidence. A restraining order she filed to gain leverage in our divorce. He shook his head sadly. I love my wife, Nathan. I'm trying to reconcile with her, and you're making that harder by encouraging her delusions. The gaslighting was so smooth, so practiced, that for half a second, I almost doubted what I knew to be true. Then I remembered the terror in Nicole's eyes at that gas station, the photos on her refrigerator, and the note tied to the brick through my window. We're done talking, I said, pulling Nicole toward my car. Stay away from us. Travis didn't try to stop us, but as we drove away, I saw him taking photos of my license plate with his phone. That night, Nicole stayed at my apartment. Her place didn't feel safe anymore, and honestly, neither did mine, but at least together we could watch each other's backs. She slept on my couch while I sat in a chair by the window, watching the street for any sign of Travis's car. Around 2 a.m, my phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Nathan. Travis's voice was different now. Not cold or mocking, but tired. Human. I need you to understand something. I'm not the monster Nicole's made me out to be. I made mistakes in our marriage. I have anger issues, I know that. But I'm getting help. I've been going to therapy, taking medication, trying to be better. All I want is a chance to make things right with my wife. Your wife has a restraining order against you, I said quietly, not wanting to wake Nicole. She doesn't want to make things right. She wants you out of her life. She's confused. The therapist says she has trauma bonding issues, that she's pushing away the person who loves her most because she's scared of intimacy. He sounded so sincere, so reasonable, that I had to remind myself this was the same person who'd threatened my family. Will you help me, Nathan? Will you convince her to give me another chance? I know she trusts you. If you tell her I've changed, she'll believe you. Why would I do that? Because otherwise, people are going to get hurt. And I don't want that. I really don't. The sincerity dropped from his voice like a mask falling away. But I will hurt people if that's what it takes to get my wife back, starting with your sister's kids. I hung up and immediately called Jenna. It went to voicemail. I tried 5 more times before she finally answered, sounding groggy and annoyed. Nathan, it's 2 a.m. What's wrong? Where are the girls? Are they in the house with you? What? Of course they're in the house. They're asleep in their rooms. Nathan, you're scaring me. I need you to check on them. Right now. Please. I heard rustling, footsteps, doors opening. Then, Jenna's voice, thick with relief. They're fine. Both of them are sound asleep. What is going on? Travis called me. He threatened to hurt them. There was a long pause. Nathan, you need to stop this. Whatever you're doing with this woman, it needs to end now. I'm calling the police and filing a report about this Travis person, and then I'm getting a restraining order. But you need to stay away from my family until this is resolved. She hung up. I sat there in the dark, listening to Nicole's quiet breathing from the couch, and realized I'd made everything worse. By trying to help her, I'd brought danger to my own family. Travis had known exactly how to divide us, how to make helping Nicole seem like a selfish choice that endangered others. The next morning, I drove Nicole back to her apartment. We barely spoke. The weight of what was happening pressed down on both of us, making conversation feel impossible. When we got to her building, there were police cars outside. Detective Alvarez was waiting by Nicole's door. Ms. Brennan, we need to talk. There's been a complaint filed against you for harassment and stalking. Nicole's face went pale. What? Who filed a complaint? Travis Brennan. He says you've been sending him threatening messages, showing up at his workplace and making false reports to law enforcement to damage his reputation. He pulled out his phone and showed us screenshots of text messages. These came from your number, threatening to kill him if he didn't leave you alone. Nicole stared at the messages, shaking her head. I never sent those. He has access to spoofing software. He can make it look like messages came from my number. Can you prove that? Can he prove I sent them? Anyone can fake text messages. Detective Alvarez sighed. Ms. Brennan, I'm trying to be patient here, but you're making it difficult. Every accusation you make against your ex-husband, he has documentation showing the opposite. At some point, I have to consider that maybe you're the problem. I'm the problem? Nicole's voice rose. I'm the one with the black eye. I'm the one who ended up in the emergency room. I'm the one who has photos of him stalking me for months. How am I the problem? You're the one. With a history of mental health issues, Alvarez said, and I saw Nicole flinch like he'd hit her. Your ex-husband provided medical records showing you've been treated for anxiety and depression. Having anxiety doesn't make someone a liar, I said. And of course she has anxiety. She's being stalked by someone who wants to kill her. Or she has anxiety that's making her paranoid and delusional, Alvarez countered. Look, I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but I am saying there's enough doubt here that I can't just take your word for everything. He looked at Nicole. I'm not arresting you today, but I am strongly advising you to stop contacting your ex-husband. If these complaints continue, I will have no choice but to take action. After he left, Nicole sat down on the stairs leading up to her apartment and put her head in her hands. This is it. This is how he wins. He's turned my mental health treatment against me. Now everything I say will be dismissed as crazy paranoia. We'll find a way to prove he's lying, I said, but even I could hear the doubt in my voice. How? He's always 3 steps ahead. He knows the system better than we do. He has resources we can't match. She looked up at me, and I saw she'd been crying. I'm going to die, Nathan. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but soon. And when it happens, everyone will say I was mentally unstable, that it was probably suicide. Nobody will investigate. Nobody will care. Travis will get away with it, just like he's gotten away with everything else. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, but I couldn't. Everything we'd tried had failed. Every authority figure we'd turned to had either dismissed us or actively worked against us. That afternoon, I got an email from my boss. "Nathan, we need to talk. Can you come to the office?" I knew before I arrived what was happening. My boss looked uncomfortable as he gestured for me to sit down in his office. "We've received multiple complaints about your conduct. Allegations that you've been accessing confidential client data without authorization, using company resources for personal projects, and making inappropriate comments to female coworkers. None of that is true," I said immediately. "This is Travis Brennan retaliating against me for helping his ex-wife. That's what you said about the FBI investigation claim and the noise complaints at your apartment. At some point, Nathan, I have to consider that maybe there's some truth to these allegations." My boss pulled out a folder filled with printed emails. "These are from 3 different clients complaining about your behavior. They're detailed, specific, and concerning. We take harassment seriously here." I looked at the emails. They described incidents that had never happened, conversations I'd never had, behavior I'd never exhibited, but they were convincing, complete with dates and times and quotes. Travis had crafted them perfectly. "This is all fabricated," I said. "I can prove it. Check my calendar. I wasn't even working with 2 of these clients on the dates they're claiming I harassed them." My boss hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, we'll investigate. But until this is resolved, you're suspended with pay. I need you to turn in your laptop and access badge." I drove home suspended from my job, with my sister refusing to talk to me, my apartment building ready to evict me, and the police convinced Nicole and I were making everything up. Travis had systematically dismantled my life in less than 2 weeks. When I got back to my apartment, Nicole was sitting on the floor outside my door. "He got me fired," she said without preamble. "Called my new boss and told him about the stalking allegations, how I'm supposedly mentally unstable and dangerous. They let me go during the probationary period." We sat there together in the hallway, 2 people who'd been chewed up and spit out by someone who knew exactly how to manipulate every system designed to protect people. "I'm sorry," Nicole said. "I should have run away the first day you helped me. Should have let Travis catch me eventually and just accepted it. At least then you'd still have your job and your family would be safe." "Don't," I said. "This isn't your fault. Travis is the one doing this. He's responsible, not you. But I brought him into your life. I'm the reason everything's falling apart." She wiped her eyes. "Maybe I should just go back to him. Tell him I made a mistake, that I want to reconcile. Maybe then he'd leave you alone." "You can't do that. He'll kill you. He's going to kill me anyway. At least this way I'm the only one who gets hurt." We sat in silence for a while. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A photo. My sister's house. Her daughters playing in the front yard. The message read, "Pretty kids. Would be a shame if something happened to them. You have 24 hours to convince Nicole to come back to me, or I start making good on my promises." I showed the photo to Nicole. Her face crumpled. "I'll go. Tonight. I'll tell him I was wrong, that I want to work things out." "No," I said firmly. "We're not negotiating with terrorists. We're ending this." "How? We've tried everything. Nobody believes us. Nobody will help us." I thought about that for a moment. We'd been trying to work within the system, trying to get authorities to do their jobs, but the system was broken, corrupted by Travis's connections and his manipulation. So maybe it was time to work outside the system. "We're going to record him," I said. "Get him on tape threatening us, admitting what he's done. Then we're going to take that recording to every news station, every newspaper, every social media platform we can find. We're going to make him too visible for his friends to protect." Nicole looked skeptical. "He's too smart to admit anything on tape. Then we make him angry enough that he forgets to be careful. What's the one thing Travis can't stand? Someone else. Having control. So we take control and we make him react." I was making this up as I went, but it felt right. We'd been playing defense this entire time, reacting to Travis's moves. It was time to go on offense. "What do you need me to do?" Nicole asked. "Call him. Tell him you want to meet somewhere public to talk about reconciliation. Make him think he's won. He'll know it's a trap. Maybe, but his ego won't let him resist. He'll think he can control the situation, that he's smarter than us." I pulled out my phone. "I'll record everything." Nicole made the call while I listened. Travis answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting. "Nicole, I knew you'd come to your senses." "I want to talk," Nicole said, keeping her voice steady. "Somewhere public. Just you and me. Finally ready to admit you overreacted? That you need me? I'm ready to talk about what happens next. Will you meet me or not?" There was a pause. "Tonight, 9 o'clock. The coffee shop on 7th Street. Come alone, Nicole. If I see Nathan or anyone else, I'm leaving." She agreed and hung up. We had 6 hours to prepare. I went to an electronics store and bought the best recording equipment I could afford. A small wireless microphone that Nicole could wear under her shirt, a backup audio recorder in her purse, and a camera disguised as a pen. If Travis was going to incriminate himself, I wanted multiple backups. Nicole practiced what she was going to say, how to push his buttons without making him suspicious. The key was to make him feel like he'd won, like Nicole was coming back broken and defeated. That's when he'd be most likely to drop his guard and gloat about everything he'd done. At 8:45, we drove to the coffee shop separately. I parked across the street where I could see through the windows, but Travis wouldn't notice me. Nicole went in alone, and I watched her order coffee and sit at a table near the back. Travis arrived exactly at 9. He sat down across from Nicole, and even from a distance, I could see the smug satisfaction on his face. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see Nicole's body language. She was hunched over, making herself small and submissive, playing the role of defeated wife. Travis was leaning back, confident and in control. My recording equipment was working. I could hear their conversation through my earpiece, Nicole's hidden microphone picking up every word. "I'm glad you finally realized you were wrong," Travis was saying. "This whole thing could have been avoided if you'd just been reasonable from the start." "I know," Nicole said quietly. "I overreacted. I let people convince me you were dangerous when really I was just scared." "Scared of what?" "I never hurt you, Nicole. You hurt yourself and blamed me. The hospital records show I was injured. The hospital records show you had injuries. They don't prove I caused them. That was always your problem, making assumptions without evidence." Travis took a sip of his coffee. "But I'm willing to forgive you. We can start over. Drop the restraining order. Tell the divorce lawyer you've changed your mind. We'll get counseling. Work through our issues." "And Nathan?" Nicole asked. "What about him?" "Nathan needs to learn that there are consequences for interfering in other people's marriages. But that's my problem, not yours. You just focus on being a good wife again." The casual way he said it made my skin crawl. "What kind of consequences?" Nicole pressed. "Did you really call CPS on his sister? Send those messages to his boss?" Travis smiled. "I did what was necessary to protect my marriage. Nathan needed to understand that helping you was a mistake. So I made it a mistake. Called in some favors, used some resources I have access to through work. It was easy, really. People believe authority figures. When a corrections officer says someone is dangerous or unreliable, people listen. That's illegal," Nicole said. "Using your position to harass people." "Prove it," Travis said simply. "Prove I accessed those databases without authorization. Prove I made those calls. You can't. Nobody can. That's the beauty of having connections in law enforcement. We protect each other." He leaned forward. "You should have learned that by now, Nicole. You can't fight the system when the system is on my side. What about when you put me in the hospital? Can I fight that? You're going to need to let that go. Those were accidents, arguments that got out of hand. I never meant to hurt you. You broke my ribs, Travis. You gave me a concussion so bad I couldn't remember my own name for 2 days." His expression hardened. "And I apologize for that. What more do you want from me? I'm trying to make things right, and you keep throwing the past in my face. I want you to admit what you did. On recording. Right now." Nicole pulled out her phone and set it on the table between them. "Tell the truth for once." Travis stared at the phone, then at Nicole. For a moment, I thought he was going to walk out. Then he laughed. "You're recording this conversation? That's cute." He reached across and picked up her phone, turning it off. "You think I'm stupid enough to confess to anything? I think you're arrogant enough to believe you're untouchable," Nicole said. "I think you've gotten away with so much for so long that you've forgotten there might be consequences." "There won't be," Travis said coldly. "There never are. Not for me. I know how to work the system. I know how to make people believe whatever I want them to believe. Right now, everyone thinks you're the unstable one. Your own mother thinks you're crazy. The police think you're lying. Your new boyfriend is about to lose everything because of the false reports I've filed against him." He leaned back, completely comfortable now. "So, here's what's going to happen. You're going to come home with me tonight. You're going to drop the restraining order and the divorce proceedings. And you're going to be a good, obedient wife from now on. Because if you don't, I'm going to destroy Nathan completely. I'm going to plant drugs in his car and have him arrested. I'm going to hack his bank accounts and make it look like he's been embezzling. I'm going to make sure he never works in IT again. And then I'm going to visit his sister's house when her husband isn't home." Nicole had gone very still. "You'd hurt children to get to me? I'd do whatever it takes. Those kids are leverage. Nathan loves them, which means threatening them gives me power over him. It's basic strategy." Travis checked his watch. "You have 1 minute to decide. Come home with me now, or I make that phone call and Nathan's life is over." "What phone call?" Nicole asked. "The one to my buddy in narcotics. He's sitting in his patrol car right now waiting for my signal. The moment I text him, he pulls Nathan over for a broken taillight and discovers 2 kilos of cocaine in his trunk. Nathan goes to jail for felony drug trafficking. He'll lose his job, his apartment, probably serve 5 to 10 years. All because you couldn't accept that you belong with me." He pulled out his phone. "So what's it going to be, Nicole? Your freedom or Nathan's future?" Before Nicole could answer, I walked into the coffee shop. I'd heard enough. More than enough. I sat down at their table without being invited. "You're not texting anyone, Travis, because I've been recording this entire conversation. Every threat, every confession, every admission of abuse of power. I have it all." Travis's face went blank with shock for just a second before the mask of confidence slid back into place. "Recording me without my consent is illegal in this state. That tape won't be admissible in court. Maybe not in criminal court," I said. "But I'm not taking this to the police anymore. I'm taking it to the media. I'm taking it to the FBI. I'm taking it to your supervisors at the jail. And I'm posting it on every social media platform that exists. By tomorrow morning, everyone will know exactly what kind of person you are. You're bluffing, Travis said, but I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Play it back then. Let's see this recording. I pulled out my phone and hit play. Travis's voice filled the coffee shop, crystal clear. I did what was necessary to protect my marriage. Called in some favors, used some resources I have access to through work. The color drained from Travis's face as he heard himself admitting to database abuse, to framing me, to threatening children. When his recorded voice said, "I'd do whatever it takes, those kids are leverage," he lunged across the table and grabbed my phone. I'd anticipated that. The phone was a decoy. The real recording was already uploaded to cloud storage, backed up on 3 different services, and shared with 5 different people with instructions to release it if anything happened to Nicole or me. Looking for this? I showed him. My backup phone with the uploaded files. It's already out there, Travis. You can't stop it now. Travis stood up so fast his chair fell over. Other customers in the coffee shop were staring now. You have no idea what you've just done, he said, his voice shaking with rage. I will destroy you for this. You already tried, I said calmly. The difference is, now everyone will know why. Travis looked around the coffee shop, suddenly aware of all the witnesses watching our confrontation. He grabbed his jacket and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Nicole and I sat there for a moment in stunned silence. Is it really over? She asked. I don't know, I admitted. But at least now we have proof. Real, undeniable proof of what he's been doing. We left the coffee shop and went straight to the police station. This time, we didn't ask for Detective Alvarez. We asked for his supervisor and the Internal Affairs Division. The recording changed everything. Within an hour, Travis's supervisors at the county jail put him on administrative leave pending investigation. Within a day, the FBI opened an official inquiry into his abuse of law enforcement databases. Within a week, 3 other women came forward with their own stories of Travis stalking and harassing them after they'd tried to leave him. The media picked up the story, and suddenly, Travis Brennan wasn't an upstanding corrections officer dealing with a crazy ex-wife. He was a predator who'd been using his badge to terrorize women for years. His friends in law enforcement couldn't protect him anymore, not when the evidence was so clear, so public, so undeniable. But Travis wasn't going down without a fight. 3 days after the recording went public, he showed up at my apartment building with a gun. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, saw him in the hallway trying to kick down my door. She called 911, and police arrived within minutes. They found Travis still trying to break in, screaming that I'd ruined his life, that he was going to make me pay. They arrested him on the spot. Breaking and entering, attempted assault, violation of a restraining order. This time, there was no bail. The judge called him a clear and present danger and ordered him held until trial. Nicole and I attended every court hearing. We watched Travis try to maintain his composure as prosecutor after prosecutor laid out his crimes: the database abuse, the stalking, the harassment campaign, the threats against children. His lawyers tried to claim mental health issues, PTSD from his military service, anything to explain away his behavior. But the recording made it impossible to deny what he'd done. The jury took less than 4 hours to convict him on multiple counts. Travis was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Not nearly enough for everything he'd done, but more than Nicole had ever thought possible. As they led him out of the courtroom in handcuffs, he turned and looked at us one last time. This isn't over, he mouthed. Nicole grabbed my hand and squeezed. Yes, it is, she said firmly. We walked out of that courtroom together, and for the first time in months, Nicole looked like she could breathe. She'd been carrying so much fear for so long that freedom felt strange, unfamiliar. It took weeks for both of us to stop looking over our shoulders, months to stop flinching at loud noises or unexpected phone calls. The trauma didn't disappear just because Travis was in prison, but slowly, day by day, we started rebuilding our lives. I got my job back after Vertex Solutions reviewed the evidence and realized all the complaints against me had been fabricated. My sister and I reconciled, though she made me promise never to put her kids in danger again. Nicole finalized her divorce, changed her name, and started therapy to process everything she'd been through. And we stayed together, not because trauma had bonded us, but because somewhere in the nightmare, we'd genuinely fallen for each other. 2 years later, Nicole and I were married in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. My sister's daughters were flower girls. Detective Alvarez, who'd eventually helped us after hearing the recording, was there. Even Mrs. Chen came, the neighbor who'd called 911 when Travis tried to break down my door. During the reception, someone asked me if I regretted helping Nicole that day at the gas station. I looked at my wife, dancing with my nieces, finally free and happy and safe, and I knew the answer. Not for a second, I said, because sometimes helping a stranger in a coffee shop leads to the fight of your life. But sometimes that fight is worth it. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.